All right, real quick. This is a really quick and simple, let's call it crash course in time management. And this is extremely important because right now you're in this campus, you're in this section because you have time, but you don't necessarily have a lot of extra actual capital to invest money, that sort of stuff. That's okay, because time is the most valuable resource anyways. And if you invest it correctly, you will get what you want in life. If you fail to invest it correctly, you will never get what you want. Time management is key. I like to say this: he who controls his time controls his outcomes in life. And it's 1,000% true. How you invest your time is going to give you everything you want, or it's going to keep you from getting anything you want. Now, let's dive right in. There's a really simple way for you to take complete control of your time. This is something that most people don't do. This is something that every successful person I've ever met does. You start using this, you're going to start seeing massive changes in the outcomes in your life. You're going to get way more done each day. You're going to progress through the boot camp faster. You're going to land clients faster. This is key. This is a good, important step you need to take. And that is, before you can even allow yourself to fall asleep and let your head hit that pillow, you must plan what you're going to do for the next day. And it doesn't have to be terribly complicated. A simple list on your phone in an app, notes app. I do pen and paper. I sit down and I write down tomorrow I'm going to do, and I write a checklist of things I need to get done that next day. It's really simple. But you decide logically what you're going to do the next day. You deliberately plan, what am I going to accomplish tomorrow? And the reason you do this is because if you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to wake up, you're going to start going through your day, and you're going to have a desire to go do this. You're going to have a whim to go do that, and there's going to be and those things will take you away. And if you have a deliberate plan, that's a lot less likely to happen. You'll say, no, I've already decided I'm going to do this. You can more easily dismiss the distractions that come. There's another important reason, right? When you sit down to work, if you don't know what you need to do, there's this little moment of fear, little moment of, oh no, what should I do? What should I do? And there's a little hurdle you have to jump before you can get to work, and that's you have to figure out what you need to do. And if you do that, there's a chance that if you're a normal human being who doesn't have ironclad discipline quite yet, when you reach that little moment where it's difficult, your mind will give you an easy answer instead of the right answer. To say, oh, why don't you just go do this? Or why don't you just watch another video on YouTube? Or why don't you just meditate for another hour or whatever? It gives you an easy answer instead of the right answer. But if you take time the day before, you sit down and you actually decide, no, tomorrow I'm going to do X, Y, and Z because they're the most important things I can do. Then when you actually sit down to work, there's no more difficulty. You know what you're going to do, so you just sit down and do it. It saves you a significant amount of time. You're not going to waste as much time, and you're going to choose better things to do with your time each day. So before you fall asleep, force yourself, make it a habit. It's a habit for me. It's a habit for every successful person I know to plan out what they're going to do and accomplish the next day. So the next question is, how do you determine what to do? And there's a really cool tool called the Eisenhower matrix that I've been using for a long time to plan and prioritize my tasks. So it's really simple. It's a matrix. So it's not the matrix, it's a matrix. And you have important and not important tasks, and you have urgent and not urgent tasks. Important tasks are things that move the needle, right? They create an outcome. They make a difference in your life, your business. Usually means they're going to get you money in. They're going to lead to you making money. Not important things are just things you have to do. They're administrative tasks. They're little things that have to happen in your day-to-day life. And then obviously, urgency means it has to be done today. There's a deadline. There's something important. There's a client that needs something. There's a homework assignment due that day, that kind of stuff. That's urgent, right? There's an emergency. You've got to pay your rent today or else you're going to get kicked out of your house. That kind of stuff is urgent. Not urgent means it can happen today, it can happen tomorrow. But in the long run, it doesn't really matter if it happens today or tomorrow, right? Now, when you categorize things by these two categories, you'll find some things are urgent and important. Those are things that need to get done today. It's a big deal if they don't get done. They're going to produce an important result. And those are the things you need to get done first, as quickly and efficiently as possible, because they're what's going to either create a serious problem if you don't get done, and they're also going to give you significant benefits. You need to get those done every day. The other one is, but the real important one is this important but not urgent. And usually these are the kind of things that they're improvements on the system. So if you're operating in a certain way, you're going through the boot camp in a certain way, your skills are a certain thing. This is where you step back, observe what you're doing, and make some strategic moves. This is doing practice to improve your copy. Or this is sitting down to analyze your sales outreach method and see if there's a better way to improve it. This is where you take a step back and you do things that are going to move the needle. Really, these are the things that systematically evolve your business operations or your personal path in life. And these are extremely important, but a lot of times they get drowned out because they're not urgent, right? So you end up spending time doing these urgent things over here and these fall by the wayside. What you need to do is you need to identify these important tasks and you need to schedule them, right? So Obviously, you need to finish these as quickly as possible, but you need to force yourself, block time out on your calendar where you schedule these important but not urgent things, because this, right, and I colored it gold for a reason, because these tasks right here, these are the ones that evolve. These are what take you to another level. These are the things that change your overall ability outcome. It makes the whole thing go better. So you need to make sure you get these done. Now, there's urgent but not important things. These are just tasks that kind of need to be done, but they're fairly low level. They require low skill. They're not terribly important. And so you need to either delegate them out to someone else, find someone else in your life who can handle these. Obviously, if you don't have money to delegate or pay someone to do this, you need to batch them. You need to put them all into one thing. Like checking your email is important, but not really that urgent. So you just do it all at once. You just sit down, and for 5 minutes, you check and finish your email and all that stuff. Boom, boom, done. Whenever you have to do these again, you want to batch them. You want to set aside some time and just go through them as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And then there are things that are not important and not urgent, and you should just delete them from your life. You don't need them. They're not moving you forward, so just don't do them. Like farting around on the internet is not really that important. Just scrolling on TikTok, it's not important. It's not urgent. It doesn't do anything for your life. You want to minimize this, right? So you want to allocate your time to these tasks. You want to do the important and not urgent, and to the urgent and not important. If you do these, also, quick note, the more of these you're able to do, the less of these you have to deal with, right? If you can do things that are important, but you don't have a deadline for it like today, if you do those ahead of time, then you don't have to deal with the constraints of an urgent task, right? So you want to spend your time up here on these top two and minimize your time on these bottom two, especially the non-important, not urgent. You want to delete that from your life as much as possible, because any time invested here will give you no return. Any time invested in these top two gives you an important immediate return. The best is obviously these are at the top. Anyways, this is a filter. The Eisenhower matrix is a really important tool to help you sort your tasks out for the day and figure out which ones to prioritize and which ones to add to that list you make before you go to bed. So another really important step here is to define what I call your time investment plan. And that's where you just sit down and you just block out time on your schedule, right? You say, okay, I'm going to wake up at this time. I'm going to get to work at this time. I'm going to do this at this time. I'm going to do this at this time. This is where you take that list and you actually apply it to how much time you're going to allocate to each task and which time you're going to allocate to each task, right? Now, obviously, this plan might change a little bit, but just sitting down and doing this, it helps you understand, okay, I can accomplish these tasks because I've set aside this time. I'm going to invest this amount of time in this task. And also, it gives you the advantage because it helps you take advantage of what's called Parkinson's law. This is what I call the beat the clock game. So if you have a defined amount of time for each task that you're going to accomplish, you can take advantage of Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law states that work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. What that means is if you allocate a whole day to a task, you will somehow magically find a way to spend that entire day on this task. If you allocate 15 minutes, you might be able to get the same work done. Some of you guys have seen this as you've gone through normal school as a kid, where you would often procrastinate a project that would take other people 3 weeks. You could do it in a day because it was due that afternoon. And you can use this to your advantage to be more efficient with how you use your time. If you block off time on your calendar and it's a challenging time, if you set a challenging time limit for your tasks, it allows you to cut away the unnecessary elements, the things that other people would waste their time on, the things that aren't necessarily critical to getting the task done. And it makes it more fun. So set a timer, say, okay, to finish this homework assignment, I'm going to spend 35 minutes on it. So you set a timer and I say homework assignment, I mean like missions or practice throughout this boot camp. So as you're going along and you're doing, let's say you have to write an email, right, for one of the practices. Instead of saying, okay, I'm going to spend an hour trying to come up with a good subject line, just say, I'm going to spend 5 minutes and see if I can come up with a good subject line. So you set a timer on your phone, and then you race that timer. You try and complete the task before the timer. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes you have to adjust your time, but you want to find a challenging time constraint because that time constraint forces you to bring your A game. Deadlines are powerful, right? And they're an extremely powerful tool. If you can set micro deadlines for micro tasks, you'll find yourself pushing through tasks significantly quicker and more efficiently. And with this, you want to stay adaptable, right? In life, what's his name? Charles Darwin, the guy that talked about evolution. He didn't necessarily say that the strongest are the ones that survive. He said the ones who are most able to adapt to the constraints of their environment survive. It's being most adaptable that lets you succeed. Things are going to come up as you go through your day. The famous Patton quote, no plan survives first contact with the enemy. Things are going to come up. Things are going to happen. Things will change. You're going to have an emergency email. This will happen. You're going to end up going on. You'll be having to travel to Europe for business. You might not have that problem now, but it happens at some point. But if you have a really compelling goal and that main focus is I'm trying to accomplish X objective in my life, then and it's really compelling, like I need to get rich, I need to go through this program, I need to learn these skills, I need to land clients, and that's what you're shooting for, then you can find a way to adjust, right? So maybe you'll change your list a little bit that day, or your schedule will be a little different. But if you have a compelling goal, it makes it easier for you to allocate your time better, because you'll be sitting there and you'll be like, oh, I've got an hour layover here in Frankfurt. I'm going to work on my phone and get through this. I'm going to take this time and invest it in this important, compelling goal because I really want to escape the rat race and become a free financial man. So I'm going to spend this time because it's really important, compelling. So the more compelling your goals, the easier just to be adaptable and work and achieve your tasks when things come up and your plan changes. Another quick note here: morning rituals are a crutch and a lie for lesser men. Most people use morning rituals, long, extensive morning rituals. I wake up, I journal for 30 minutes, I go on this walk, I do this, I do that, and they use it as a crutch. It's an opportunity for them to just not do the work. It's a way to procrastinate. Remember when I said sitting down and doing the work, there's this little hurdle you have to jump over? Even when you know what you need to do, getting started is half the battle, right? So people find all these ways to avoid the fear of the confrontation in their life of having to confront the fact they need to sit down and start doing something that might be boring, some boring work that's really important in their life. Most people use morning rituals as that. So you don't want to use morning rituals. You need to understand that the people who are crazy about morning rituals are typically people who are afraid of doing the work. And you cannot be afraid of doing the work if you really want to be successful here. Because in the long run, winning, being successful, becoming a very skilled and high-paid copywriter, for example, developing the skill is about putting in the most reps. Whoever gets the most work done in the same amount of human years wins. So you want to just get up, or when you sit down or get back, when you have your time to dedicate to copywriting, you just want to sit down and get straight to work. Let lesser people worry about their morning rituals. You just get the work done. If you get more reps done in the same amount of human years, then you beat everyone else. That's really the competition. Who can use their time most efficiently, get the most work done in the same number of days, weeks, and months? Who can do it the most efficiently by focusing on the most important things? Whoever can do that, they win. Those are the people who are able to accomplish great things, develop the level of mastery they need to become successful. An important concept too, and this is part of our core values here inside of this campus, is when I'm awake, I'm working, right? You want to devote every available second to doing things that will move your life forward. If you have a strong, compelling goal, if you really, truly desire to be successful, you will find a way to invest all of your waking time into something productive, something that will reward you and something that will give you an ROI, something that will give you a return on that investment of that time. When I'm awake, I'm working. I wake up early, I sit down, I get to work because I have compelling goals and I want to achieve them. You should do the same thing. When I have free time, when I find myself sitting there with my phone, I find a way to work. I find a way to get things done, things that are productive, right? Things that will improve my life. I minimize as much as possible all of the extra stuff in my life that doesn't lead to a productive outcome. And everything I do is deliberate and it's purposeful and it drives me forward. And there are different kinds of work. I say, and you'll notice I said it here in this little slide, things that will move your life forward. That doesn't mean that every second of every day you're in there in a spreadsheet working on copywriting. Obviously, you need to devote some time to improving your physical strength. There are other compelling goals in your life besides just finances, and you have relationships and important things in your life that are rewarding and will move your life forward. Use your time and invest them in those things in addition to making money, right? That should be a very extremely high priority for you as you're seeking to improve yourself and escape the challenges you face in your life. But you want to dedicate all of the time that you have to things that are valuable and can reward. And you can still have a lot of fun doing all of these things, but make sure you focus your time on things that will improve your life. Do you want to be rich or not? Do you really want to be successful? Do you really want to have the things that you say you want? If you'll find a way to invest your time as efficiently as possible into things that will give you those results. Let lesser men fritter away their time on things like social media consumption, on watching shows and stuff like that. You are a different breed of human being because you have more compelling goals and you have a stronger force of will that will allow you to achieve what you want and become something that they can only dream of. Literally, they only dream of, but you can actually become it if you choose to invest your time wisely. So use the principles that I've outlined in this short presentation to manage your time, your most valuable resource. Invest it wisely and watch as your investments pay giant dividends over the course of the next week, the next month, and the next year, and the next decade of your life. So use this information. It will be extremely helpful for you in the long run.